What if the biggest transformation of your life didn't come from luck, talent, or some overnight success story, but from choosing, today, to stop living like the person you've always been, and start building the person you were meant to become? What if the real version of you, the disciplined you, the relentless you, the fearless you, has been trapped under years of doubt, distraction, and excuses? And what if someone told you that transforming your entire life doesn't start with a miracle, but with obsession? This is where the story of Mr. Beast becomes more than entertainment. It becomes a mirror we all have to face. Because Jimmy Donaldson didn't become the biggest YouTuber on Earth by being lucky. He became Mr. Beast because he decided he wasn't going to recognize himself anymore. He chose to outgrow his past self so completely that the world had no choice but to notice. And if you let it, his story might just do the same for you today. Mr. Beast's rise didn't begin with millions, or teams, or a giant studio full of cameras. It began with a quiet, lonely obsession, sitting in a small room, studying YouTube videos for hours every single day, analyzing every frame, every thumbnail, every title, until he understood the platform better than the platform understood itself. According to several interviews where he described those early years, he and a small group of friends spent their teenage days on endless calls, dissecting what worked and what didn't, pushing each other to think bigger, create smarter, and dream wilder. They weren't chasing money. They weren't chasing fame. They were chasing mastery. And mastery leaves no room for the old version of you to survive. Jimmy has said many times that in those early years, he didn't care about anything except learning YouTube. He didn't party. He didn't travel. He didn't waste time. He rebuilt his identity around one goal: becoming extraordinary. And that's the part most people miss. Transformation isn't glamorous. It's not cinematic. It's brutal. It's repetitive. It's waking up every day and killing the version of yourself that's keeping you small. For Mr. Beast, that meant choosing discipline over comfort, curiosity over ego, and obsession over distraction. It meant uploading videos that barely got views, reinvesting every penny he made, and spending long sleepless nights editing, re-editing, and questioning everything until his content evolved into something no one had ever seen before. But here's the twist: your transformation might demand the same from you, not the same actions, but the same mindset. The willingness to shed who you've been. The willingness to rebuild who you could be. When his channel finally started to grow, after counting to 100,000, after reading the entire dictionary, after doing challenges that pushed his mind to the edge, he didn't slow down. He scaled up. He kept growing faster than his past self could catch up. Every win demanded a new version of him. Every failure forced him to invent a better one. At one point he said something powerful: if you fail enough, you eventually succeed. But what he really meant was deeper: if you evolve enough, success eventually becomes your default. Think about that. Success isn't an event. It's a transformation. It's self-reinvention on repeat. And Jimmy mastered that long before he mastered YouTube. That's why the world didn't recognize him when he exploded into fame, because he had already stopped recognizing himself years earlier. He had outgrown the person the world thought he was. And the question is, are you ready to do the same? Because you won't recognize yourself after you start cutting out the habits that ruin your potential. You won't recognize yourself after you choose to do deep work instead of scrolling. You won't recognize yourself after you wake up with purpose instead of regret. You won't recognize yourself after you decide that discipline is love for your future self. And you won't recognize yourself after you stop chasing motivation and start building systems, the same way Mr. Beast built an empire not from hype, but from consistency. And somewhere in this journey, you'll notice something else. The world will begin to treat you differently. Opportunities will appear. People will respect you. Your confidence will grow. Why? Because identity drives action, and action drives destiny. When Jimmy transformed into the version of himself capable of building the biggest YouTube channel in the world, success didn't surprise him, it followed him. It had no choice. And when you transform into the version of yourself capable of greatness, greatness will follow you too. But the road isn't easy. Reinvention never is. It demands sacrifice. It demands discomfort. It demands that you break the patterns that have kept you small for years. But it also gives you something priceless. A life that finally feels like yours. A life you're proud to live. A life where you look in the mirror one morning and say, I don't recognize who I used to be, and thank God for that. Mr. Beast didn't become Mr. Beast by accident. He became the person his old self could never dream of being. And maybe, just maybe, that's what you're being called to do right now. So ask yourself, what is the version of you that the world hasn't met yet? And what is stopping you from becoming that person today? Because the moment you decide to evolve, really evolve, is the moment you won't recognize yourself anymore. And that's exactly when your life begins. And that's something worth holding on to the next time you wonder what you're capable of becoming. A quick reminder, for any major life decisions involving health, finances, or personal well-being, always consult qualified professionals who can guide you responsibly. If this message hit you, if you're ready to become the version of yourself you've been avoiding, hit subscribe, drop a comment about the one habit you're changing today, and share this with someone who needs their next chapter to start now. Your transformation begins the moment you take action.